and I'll just do these with a spanner. It's not worth it with a socket set. I'll just get 11 and do them up. Again, finger tight and a quarter of a turn or an eighth of a turn. Oh, actually 10, I've always thought there was 11. 10. Right. One on the front. A quarter of a turn. And that's about that, so that's in. So I'm just going to take these two out. With the front linkage point, I need to take the gasket out as well. There's this clip for holding the back brake cable in line. You just need that out of there, gasket set. And it's the shorter of the two. The gaskets out of the way, we don't need them at the moment. So what we need to do here is gasket at the bottom and a cable adjustment like that, so it fits in like that on top. Sod's law, I dropped it again. Underneath. Put one in at a time. I'll put our bolt through. And our washer on the bottom, and I'll just start one off. There we go. And then the front one, I will use the shiny one this time. Exact size, yeah. And again, because I've got these screwed in, they are actually in my way, the cable adjusters. I'll take them out while I'm screwing the little screws in, the little bolts I should say. Oh, one. That should come out fairly easy because all the threads have been cleaned. As you see, the cable runs between there and there underneath the gear change mechanism. And what I'm going to do at the moment is this rod I'm just going to stick in place. Oh, that's tight. That's really good. You don't want these holes here, don't want to be elongated in any way. They need to be round. This is a new one. Again, it's just needs a bit of grease on it. So there's no play when you're changing gears. To show you this. Yep. I'll move it across a bit and up. And just for my own waste of time, I am going to put a socket on it. Make sure when you've screwed them in that they don't go in the engine case. They're not too long, because the ones I put in just to keep the threads clear are miles too long. So let's get a socket and ratchet out. 10, 9, 10. Make sure it's a 10. Yep. Ratchet. And a smaller socket set gets in there. I mean, I don't need to unscrew that now, do I? That will just go in. Again, make sure that the screw that or the bolt you're using is not too long. Right, that's just finger tight. Let's do this one. and 1/4 of a turn. That one's still got a bit to go, and 1/4 of a turn. That will never come undone. I can screw these cable adjusters in now, back in, so I don't lose them. As I say, the brake itself's got a claw on there. I'll bring that engine round a bit. There's an O-ring, a flat washer. That's wrong size, but it gives you an idea. Oh, it's actually the right size one. And you get an O-ring to stop the oil coming out of grease. And then the claw goes on and a circlip on there that holds it all in place, so it doesn't move in and out. And then you've got your claw with your brake, and your adjuster goes in there. Engine's getting dirty. But I'll just screw these back in again. Perfect. Reminds me, I still haven't cleaned out the mag flange. I'll do that with just a flat file or a half moon file. These are one of the jobs when you're doing any electrical work. That bolt there is nigh impossible to reach when it's in the scooter. When the engine's out, is, you know, it's a doddle basically. I'm still not sure what electronic kit I'm getting. It could be a standard seal, or I've had a bid for a Variamatic Casa Lambretta one. We'll probably get outbid with that. You know, who knows? You never know, do you? If not, it'll be a standard seal Indian electronic fitted to it. And I'm still after the washer, and you know, it's silly little bits that are still needed for the engine. Right, let's put a bit of copper grease just on here. Like I say, I'm not putting the spacers on, washers, etc. yet. I'm just I'm putting in the bar, and I'm just going to tie it in, so that goes on there. And that's brilliant, isn't it? It don't fit. That doesn't fit. That looks better, don't it? Slide straight in the middle of it. I'm just going to use a bit of wire just to keep that in place, and then we'll go through first gear, second gear, neutrals in between, third and fourth. You can see there's plenty of space for all of them gears. Changing, of course, not gears, but when you're changing. I'll put some copper grease under there so that moves nice and freely as well. There's no play in it. That's another thing, you want no play in that mechanism at all, so when you're pushing there's no play here, no play here. I mean, the cable ferrule will go in there anyway, so, and that would be going to fourth position. Right, so we've got our adjuster block on, our gear selector block on. This is only on temporary because it has a rubber cover over it, so I'm not doing that one at the moment. I haven't got the rubber cover, I thought I had one. And there's a little top hat that goes in here, so your cable's got something to fire against basically, otherwise it will just go straight the way through. And then it clips in there and it runs along in a straight line. There's a groove cut out in the engine there. You know, they thought of everything when they built these engines. They weren't, you know, a lot of people say they were just shopping machines and what have you, but they were more than that. A lot more than that. The engineering going into them stood the test of time, hasn't it? You know, and people cut off this bump stop if they're putting bigger wheels on. That was an 80s fad again. You can fit larger tyres now and keep the same profile wheels, 350 or 210 by 10 wheels, and the profile of the tyre is slightly bigger, and what you have to do, because it's wider, is just put a shim on here. there's a shim that sits in there. You put a wider shim, just move the hub out slightly. As I say, I put a bit of wire there just to hold that in place. And you can see the mechanism would fit. That's how it would go in the bike, with the cable through between here in the ferrule and across the top. So we're getting there slowly. As I say, hopefully, oh, and the gearbox I ordered from India, due to the current situation with COVID, they've cancelled the order because they've gone into another lockdown in India. So my Mark II gearbox isn't turning up at the moment, which is slightly peed me off, because I want to get the gears in, show you how to shim up the gearbox, put the chain in. I've got a drop down, I've got both actually, a drop down and a push up, chain guide upper one. If I turn the engine around as well, none of this is in properly yet, it's just so I don't lose stuff. So we've got a green, what's his name, Victoria Teresa or something. It pushes down or it pushes up on the chain and drive shaft, etc. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to use a longer chain. What the purpose of that is, what people say is, because the chain comes in, it hits more of these teeth, so you get more of a bite on the chain. When they go across the top, they're only hitting here, so you're getting like a, what, just over a third of the sprocket is engaged with the chain at any time. When you bring the chain down, you're catching it, you know, you're getting about 3/4 of the sprocket, so you've got more of a grip on the chain. That's what racers try and do. So I mean, it's not going to be beat everybody off the block scooter, as you know. So I mean, it's not worth putting that on until we get the gearbox in, and say that everything's waiting and that needs oiling up. Lay shafts in, as you know already, watching previous videos that I'm doing on this engine, but we are getting there. I put the carburetor on, just pushed it on at the time. Like I say, if I can find the hook for the back brake, I'll put that on, and short of just spraying some brake cleaner on the pads, the shoes themselves, it's that end's more or less done. You know, we're looking at shimming the gearbox, putting that in. We know we've got a new selector on there. In fact, most of that's new apart from the lay shaft. We know that this is all in line and turns lovely. I can turn it with my hand, you know, it's really nice and free, that no play, just lovely. And obviously you don't want play in and out either, or either's a Russian guy that builds engines. It's as you can see, overhangs slightly. I'm going 47, 15 at the front, and I wanted a VJ Super gearbox simply because it's the closest thing to the ratios that I want, so there's not a big drop between third and fourth when you're moving down the road. I mean, like I say, it's not going to be you know, a street burning scooter. It'll keep up with traffic, and it'll keep up with most scooters I think we'll see out there on the road. So yeah, there's another green one going in on the top. So I've never used them before, it's just something I've had hanging around. Like I say, I don't tend to use anything tuned on my bikes there, apart from the GP, which was done by AF, and I've done a few little jobs on it. You know, everything else that I run, it tends to be standard bikes. So just push that back there and put a screwdriver under there somewhere just to support the engine. But, that'll probably do on there, just keeping it straight.